A very warm welcome to BBC London. I'm Thomas Magill. We start today with a plea for information. It's 20 years since a pub fire which killed 2 young boys and a man in northeast London. Investigators at the time suspected the blaze at the Prince of Wales pub was started deliberately, but no one has ever been convicted. Now, ahead of the anniversary tomorrow, one of the survivors, who was just 8 years old at the time, says she won't give up her campaign for justice. Sonia Jessup reports, and just a warning, some viewers may find parts of this report distressing.
The Prince of Wales pub, still smouldering. Inside, signs of how swiftly the fire had spread the night before. Drinks abandoned on the bar. Investigators said the blaze broke out at the foot of the stairs, that a cloth had been doused with white spirits. Then it spread to the living room, where a group of children were having a sleepover. 2 boys, 10-year-old Christopher and 4-year-old Charlie, were killed. These pictures have been shared for the first time by one of the girls who survived.
I remember the floor being so hot, and I remember the hearing the sounds of the wood cracking, and I remember just standing on tiptoes, and I couldn't shut my mouth because it was just burning.
Vicky was just 8 years old at the time. She was staying with her cousins at her granddad's pub. She only survived because she was rescued by pub regular Ronnie Springer. He died weeks later. Declared a hero, he was given a posthumous award for bravery.
He grabbed hold of me and I looked at him and he said, "I'm going to get you out. It'll be okay, I'll get you out."
Vicky suffered burns to a third of her body and spent months in hospital. It was only later that she understood her 2 cousins had died.
I remember saying to my mum, "I want to go see Charlie and Chris, I want to go see Charlie and Chris." And I remember my mum telling me that they're asleep, they've gone to sleep. But obviously at the time I was only 8 and I didn't understand.
20 years on, she's still searching for answers. In 2005, her aunt, the boy's mother, Kate Knight, was cleared of manslaughter and arson at the Old Bailey. Vicky, who still needs treatment for her injuries, has gone on to become an actress. Her first film saw her playing the survivor of an acid attack. Her latest project, called Silver Haze, will be based on her own story. She says someone has approached her with new information about the fire, but they've refused to give a statement to police.
So 20 years on, do you think you will ever get answers?
I want to scream to the world, someone knows something. And the only thing I can say is, if you do know something, I'm begging you, please come forward with that information and please give my family some justice and some peace, so them boys can rest and so I can get on with my life.
Vicky Knight speaking to Sonia Jessup. Wembley Stadium is getting a new 3.5-metre perimeter fence to help boost its security. It's in response to events during the Euro 2020 final between England and Italy. An independent report called the day a source of national shame after 2,000 ticketless fans forced their way into the ground. Now, they're a familiar sight and sound in much of central London. Pedicabs or tuk-tuks have grown in number in recent years, and now there's calls for stricter regulation after reports that tourists are being scammed out of hundreds of pounds. Guy Lynn has the story.
This is the tale of the tourist, the pedicab and hundreds of pounds.
I'm kind of still in shock because it's insane.
Say a big hi to April from Belgium, on holiday in London, seeing the sights with her kids. One summer evening, her 11-year-old sees one of these, a London pedicab, saying,
"What are they, these?" I said, "Well, they are cabs, I think." So they said, "Can we go in one?"
She hails one down to get from here, Dering Street, to here, the Lancaster Hotel. On the map, a journey of 1.3 miles, which in a pedicab takes them about 7 minutes. And costs?
He wanted £464.
One more time.
£464.
The driver says there's no mistake, adamant he very much wants the money.
I said, "Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous." And he then got off his bike and he was straight away into my face. So I was like, okay, he was really aggressive. And I said again, "That's ridiculous. Maybe 7-8 minutes of driving, that's insane."
And she felt so threatened that she paid the enormous sum using her phone.
Afterwards, I'm just mad that the guy got away with this and he actually just did this.
Let's see what else April's hard-earned cash might have gone on. How about a magical trip to Marrakesh? Flight cost? Or if she was feeling peckish, a 7-course meal at the Ritz? Cost? Issues with pedicabs aren't new, but this £464 tale is a particular shocker.
There's absolutely no checks done on the driver, there's no checks done on the vehicle, they're not licensed, they're not insured, and they're operating, as you can see, in the heart of our city, putting tourists in danger, ripping people off. It's an absolute disgrace.
So to update you, April reported it all to the police, who referred her to action fraud. So far nothing's been done, but you'll be pleased to hear she's not been put off returning to London again. She's here now, just very much walking everywhere. Guy Lynn, BBC London.
Now, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child celebrate 7 years in the West End this weekend. And to mark the occasion, Michael Mackenzie has been to meet the team behind the show.
Harry Potter and the Cursed Child will celebrate 7 years this weekend in the West End. The show has also been seen by 1.5 million people.
The reason I think it's lasted is because it's a universal story. It's a coming-of-age story. It's a story about parents in relationships, broken down relationships with their children. And I think it's something that everyone can relate to.
Being able to come into this building and tell a story of magic, but also about friendship and love and the importance of family has been really important for us on stage, but also I think for every single audience that comes to see it.
You've got the iconic house colours, the Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff.
With 500 costumes and 2 shows a day, it's challenging.
We use a lot of the costumes from part 1 into part 2, so obviously in the break in between shows we're responsible for turning that all around, making sure everything's set in the right place, and then obviously we've got maintenance, so if things break we have to turn that around in between shows as well.
And for his stage manager, it's been challenging.
It is one of the busiest shows I've ever worked on. We've got people in the air, fire on the stage, people coming out of water. Yeah, it's a lot for health and safety and looking after everyone backstage.
An HBO series is in the pipeline. The story will continue. Michael Mackenzie, BBC London.
OK, time for the weather with Kate Kinsella.
Good afternoon. It was a bright, dry and very sunny start this morning, albeit a little fresh. It was a chilly start. Clear blue sky though and sunshine. Now since then the cloud has gradually been creeping in. You can see a milky sky, that sunshine turning hazy. Through this afternoon the cloud will continue to increase and then turn rather wet and rather windy. But we've still got a bit of sunshine in the east. Temperatures there around 24 Celsius, but you can see coming in from the west that cloud and the rain approaches, becoming quite wet, heavy persistent rain through this evening and lasting much of the night. It's blustery too, gusty wind, gradually turning a little more showery but staying damp and rather murky till tomorrow morning. The minimum temperature 14 to 16 Celsius. It is going to be humid. Now the front just gradually slips southwards, but we're left with a legacy of fairly thick and low cloud. It's a murky start tomorrow. Still could see some showers in that cloud as well. Further north the cloud will break into the afternoon, which in turn could spark off additional showers. Temperatures there though with that little bit of brightness a little warmer at 24 Celsius. Friday is looking like a drier day on the whole. Into the weekend it is going to be blustery, a few showers but some spells of sunshine.
OK, there's more on all of today's stories on the BBC News app, including an interview with Sir Keir Starmer, who's talking about the ultra-low emission zone, or ULEZ, ahead of its proposed expansion next month. Alice will be here at 6:30. Until then, have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.